Lieutenant General Sir Henry Pottinger, 1st Baronet GCB-PC, was an Anglo-Irish soldier and colonial administrator who became the first governor of Hong Kong. Early career. Henry Pottinger was born in County Down, Ireland, in 1789. He was the fifth son of Eldred Curwen Pottinger, Esq., of Mount Pottinger, County Down, and his wife Anne, who was the daughter of Robert Gordon, Esq., of Florida House in the same county. They had 3 daughters and 8 sons. Eldred Pottinger was his nephew. Henry studied at the Belfast Academy, today known as Belfast Royal Academy. In 1804, he went to India to serve in the army and explored the lands between the Indus and Persia, traveling in disguise as a Muslim merchant and studying local languages, under the orders of Sir John Malcolm. In 1806, he joined the British East India Company, and in 1809, he was the lieutenant who fought in one of the Anglo-Maratha Wars. In 1810, he undertook an expedition from Nushki to Isfahan disguised as a Muslim. The expedition was funded by the East India Company to map and research the regions of Baluchistan and Persia because of concerns about India being invaded by French forces. It would be 100 years before another European took this route, and Pottinger rose to the rank of colonel. Pottinger later became resident administrator of Sindh in 1820. He later held the same post in Hyderabad. In 1820, he married Susanna Maria Cook, who in 1831 gave birth to the son, Frederick Pottinger, who became notorious for his run-ins with bushrangers as Inspector of Police in New South Wales, Australia. The second son, Henry, was born on the 10th of June 1834 and died on the 18th of October 1909. He was created a baronet when he returned to England in 1839. Governor of Hong Kong, Pottinger accepted Foreign Secretary Lord Palmerston's offer of the post of envoy and plenipotentiary in China and superintendent of British trade, thus replacing Charles Elliot. In 1841, when Pottinger was sent to China, Palmerston instructed him to examine with care the natural capacities of Hong Kong, and you will not agree to give up that island unless you should find that you can exchange it for another in the neighborhood of Canton, better adapted for the purposes in view, equally defensible, and affording sufficient shelter for ships of war and commerce. On the 4th of November 1841, Palmerston's successor Lord Aberdeen wrote to Pottinger that he had doubts over Hong Kong's acquisition since it would incur administrative expenses and complicate relations with China and other nations. After Pottinger joined the British Expeditionary Force in northern China, he negotiated the terms of the Treaty of Nanking, which ended the First Opium War and ceded Hong Kong Island to the United Kingdom. Pottinger became the second administrator of Hong Kong and the first governor of Hong Kong. When he forwarded the treaty to Aberdeen, Pottinger remarked, "The retention of Hong Kong is the only point in which I have intentionally exceeded my modified instructions. But every single hour I have passed in this superb country has convinced me of the necessity and desirability of our possessing such a settlement, as an emporium for our trade and a place from which Her Majesty's subjects in China may be alike protected and controlled." On the 26th of April 1843, the governor's residence was robbed. On the 26th of June 1843, he was appointed to become the chief commander of the British troops stationed in Hong Kong. During his very short tenure, Pottinger established executive and legislative chambers, with one discussing political affairs and one designing legal codes. However, the chambers did not convene often, and this gave Pottinger wide-ranging powers to decide on policy. Towards the end of his tenure, Pottinger lost the support of the local British merchants and was isolated. He left on the 7th of May 1844. During his governorship, Hong Kong became the major port for trading opium in China. Post-governorship, Pottinger became a member of the Privy Council in 1844, and became governor of Cape Colony in 1847 and also of Madras in the same year. In 1851, he was promoted to the rank of Lieutenant General. He died in retirement in Malta in 1856. Legacy: Pottinger Street, Central Hong Kong Island. Pottinger Peak, Hong Kong Island. Pottinger Gap, between Pottinger Peak and Mount Collinson. Pottinger Battery, Devil's Peak, Hong Kong. Pottinger's Entry off High Street in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Pottinger House, Belfast Royal Academy, his former school, named a house in his honour. Mount Pottinger, Belfast. Belfast, Pottinger, UK Parliament constituency.